forgetting she has her own podcast because
Hi.
she's on Click Clack. So because you're on.
Click clack. Yeah, yeah, or Telegram or one of those other
Yes. But our topic today for a podcast topic is letters, liaisons, longing, and the romance of epistolary love. I have no idea what it is. Here is the description of it. Before text messages and DMs, there were ink-stained letters and the aching wait between replies. In this episode, Mina explores the lost art of epistolary romance. While love letters are such a powerful tool in fiction, how they reveal character and how Mina uses them to build intimacy between her couples long before they ever touch. So, question one: what draws you to using letters as a storytelling device in your novels?
um I've only used letters in one book, and it was pretty extensive because the main uh, protagonist, the male, is asked to read the stack of letters. So, because he's the one of all four of the horsemen that pulls out those little details, and so they wanted him to read all the letters. And the female character had written to her father from the time that she could write all the way until about 2 weeks before they found her. He had this whole stack of letters that she'd written to her father that her father never received. And they were trying to find out who the father was. And they were trying to find out where she was. And so he was just assigned to read all these letters. And they were so heartwarming and so agonizing and pitiful, and beautiful, that he fell in love with her before he even met her because of the letters that she wrote. That's how poignant a letter can be. Just like texting, though, when you write something, it can often be misinterpreted. And so there's nothing like speaking with somebody in person, but you can't, you couldn't do that back then unless you wanted to ride for 5 days to see them if they were out in the country. And the other person was in London. That was kind of difficult.
Yeah.
So letters was it. That was it.
Do you think letters create a deeper emotional connection between characters than in person scenes?
Yes, and I've heard that many times from older women during World War II, that their letters that they wrote back and forth between either their new husbands or their lovers were very poignant, and drew the two people closer together. And the letters that the males wrote were very, very touching and romantic. But I think a wartime would be a place where a man during his downtime from fighting would pour out his soul to his loved one.
How do you develop voice and tone when writing letters from one character to another?
Oh, um, like I said, I had a book where I had the male and the female sending notes back and forth to each other. They were both in London, but they kept swapping notes back and forth. And you try to build a pattern of speech for both of them so that it's easy to identify the female from the male, the way they talk, the the things they put into a letter, the way they say hello, the way they sign off on the letter, all of those things can signify to the reader this was the woman, this was the man. And also with with print, I can use strong print to signify the male as well, and then some kind of foo-foo writing for the female. I apologize, my voice. I'm starting to sound like this woman on TV that sounds like some kind of screeching thing.
You're spending too much time on TikTok. Have you ever written a love letter yourself?
I have, yes, I have, um, and it was unrequited, but I have, and boy, that brings back a lot of old memories. It was I could write a story just about that, but it wouldn't have a happy ending. But I was in love with this man, and he was in love with me, but he was drafted, and the CIA came to see him when he was down, well, when he was at Pendleton, and said, you know, you can either stay with the army or you can come back to work with us. And so that's what he did. And I couldn't find him. I didn't know where he was. I kept trying to find him. And then I tried to get a hold of his brother, and his brother had moved. So I hadn't heard from him. And I started seeing someone else, but it wasn't the same. There wasn't any, it wasn't a romantic thing. I was just seeing him. But when John came back, he was, he mistook the relationship. And so he said, you know, I can't trust you, which broke my heart because he could, I mean, I devoted myself to him. I did go out with another man, but it was strictly friendship. Um, but and I wrote him, and he never wrote me back. So I was brokenhearted over that for many years. Many
Yeah,
years.
absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
my. Do
Yeah.
readers react differently to romances that unfold through letters?
I don't know particularly about letters. That's possible. But I know that readers interpret the love story differently. And you can see that by the ratings. Some people will rate the book 5 stars, some four, some three. Um, I've had, I think, one star, but they never explained why. And I think that would have been very beneficial. Um, uh, um, that tells you the difference between how the reader interprets the story and how the writer means for it to come out, you know?
Yeah.
So I would love to be able to talk to the people that give me a three, or I didn't get any twos, but I got that one, and I would love to talk to them. In fact, um, there was a woman on Instagram that was telling people when they write their description for their book to go and read other people's reviews that were a 3 star and find out the particulars and pull those particulars and put them in your description, because usually a 3 will tell you, well, this was not right, or the opening wasn't indicative of the story to come out, those kind of things. And they'll explain that in a 3 star. So I've been going through that in order to help with writing the description. I know we both depend on AI for some of the description, but We
You mean,
have to we
yeah.
have to put our input, you know.
Yeah, exactly. A1 doesn't just give it come out of nowhere.
A
Oh, if you're
and I'm not,
heroin,
but A1
if
also my
you're a heroin, if you're heroin, not heroin, heroin,
hero,
could text, could
heroine.
text, if your heroin can text, would the story lose its magic?
Um, no, that's a that's a good question as well. I I would think that it very possibly could. You would have to rearrange the complete dialogues between the two protagonists, if you wanted to use text, because it would certainly um, change the frequency of conversation from verbal, and texting is a digested form of a conversation. So it's not good. You can you can say, I'm changing our appointment from 4:30 to 4. That's fine. Or you can say, um, look at this. It's really funny. Um, or call me later. But to try and build a relationship, other than saying I love you, or I think you're sexy, or something stupid like that, you can't you can't really put yourself into the dialogue like you could in a letter.
Okay. Best place to go, MinaValentine.com. And check out soon the podcast is launching. I guess we'll be able to launch the podcast before everything else, but everything is still available at Mina will be available at MinaValentine.com. Appreciate it, Mina.
Thank you.
All right, that was
Good
special
weekend.
Samo